Hello everyone, welcome in. This is going to be section 1.1 class review of Mogoon's Coloso class, which is listed as Fundamentals of Stylized Character Art. Obviously I went over this in the playlist intro slash class review intro, but in short, and as always, I will be listing this, but if asked by either the platform or the artist, I will restrict the availability of both this document and the videos per request. Obviously, I respect and I appreciate this platform and the lecturer slash artist deeply, and so I really don't want to be taking away from their work. So if they feel that way, I'm more than happy to remove all this content. So with that out of the way, section 1.1 is understanding commercial art, and then as always, I will have a link to this video currently in case you want to see the video version, or I will leave the text version of this document in the description. So there wasn't much of an intro to the lecturer themselves. They got right into it, but a lot of the talk for this lecture was based upon their own field experience, where the industry lies, and really some good tips and tricks for understanding the field and surviving in it for illustration. So they talk about the many forms of 2D visualization art. The examples they really list are going to be character art, concept art, which is going to include character or environmental design, or I guess concept art, cartoon art, and storybook illustration. All of these are really, really good examples of different niches to follow into as you start progressing with your illustrative studies. Just a personal opinion of mine. That's not something you recommended directly, but I digress. So character art is the focus for his class. And all art can be defined as commercial focus or art focus gradient between these two extremes. So really it's a sliding scale. Got commercial focus all on the very left, which is the whole idea is to satisfy others, while on the very right there's this art focus, which is to satisfy the artists themselves. And everything that is ever made in terms of art lies between the scales somehow or another. So a really, really good answer as the type of art that you'd like to do is to ask yourself, will you keep drawing even if it won't be profitable? And the answer to that is where you're going to lie on the scale in terms of what art you produce. And obviously, you know, you may create art in like a sketchbook or like personal works, and obviously that's going to be all on the right side. And then you can do your marketable work or your monetizable work that is to satisfy others. You don't belong at one point on the scale. It's just the point in which art is placed on. And then he talks a little bit more about the fundamentals, which act like a standard to be followed and are based on reality. And they're needed to accurately communicate the image you have in your mind to others. It's a very important aspect. I'm sure you guys have all been told about real life studies, just going out, drawing something, seeing it in front of your eyes and understanding the shape, the form, the light, volume, blah, blah, blah. All I'm sure you've heard. Those are all important things to study. In any case, stylized art is a type of art where the focus is to omit and exaggerate to highlight the characteristics of objects, also known as, and I'm just gonna say this in English, deformer or stylization. Actually, I'm gonna look that up.
Déformé. Déformé.
Deformé.
Déformé.
Deformé. Whatever that, or stylization. So really talks about stylization and how there's essentially realistic, stylized, and semi-realistic all up on this scale. There's a lot of scales about where art lies, but too much stylization can cause rejection. And really the whole point about talking about this is to ground themselves about really this battle between stylization and fundamentals, and that while they do go hand in hand, they kind of lie on opposite poles of the spectrum, and they sort of work with each other in different ways. So it's important about establishing these to really nail yourself into the field of study that he talks about. So he talks about how too much stylization can cause rejection. So we see this a lot in other lectures as well, but it's this talk about how you need to pretty much make a lot of your work even somewhat alluring to the general public or the employers that you're looking to get hired at. It's important that you have a portfolio that people can connect with, and it's not just completely out there. Obviously, if you're doing hobby work, that doesn't matter. You know, draw what you want to draw. But in terms of what we can monetize for ourselves as artists, it's important that we consider others for our own work. And then obviously stay within the expectations of the standard. So that's going to be a little bit more of public works that are, you know, can be recognized as quote unquote good art. The Japanese style of stylization is the industry standard and was internet fluist, and he talks a little bit about the history and how that's been so, but the chances of standing out with a unique art style are low and are getting lower as more artists come to fruition. So truth be told, he talks about this a lot, and that's why anime styled illustrators, such as those interested in watching this video or taking the class, it's important that we keep working and we acknowledge that it's getting harder as things progress. So it's important that we stick on top of our work and our studies. And he really summarizes this in this statement, which is even if you develop unique style, everyone is already unique to an extent. So being unique isn't enough, which is where fundamentals supplement. So really having this aspect of, yes, you have an alluring style, but the fundamentals, can you convey what you really intend to, and how strong is that ability to do so? So without being competitive, you fall behind. And that's just kind of the truth of the matter. That's going to be any field you work in. It's best to keep on top of things. Even if you aren't really trendy, it's good to involve yourself. If your works are becoming a little less connected with the world around you, it's important to still be able to connect with people with your art if you're looking to get monetized for it. So with more platforms for art, illustrators are in demand, and illustration is a promising industry that won't go down easily, but will gradually become a red ocean. And this is from Mogoon's take on the illustration field. I am not too sure personally, but he's a professional who's been working in this industry for a while and is very, very good at it, and highly recognized for it as well. So I think it is a very important note that for us illustrators, maybe there are high hopes. And then the idea of a red ocean, so if you guys don't know, it's considered in job markets, metaphorically speaking, are oceans. And as they become more competitive and people fight over the sort of like the water and the area that's surrounding this ocean, you know, people die out, people get damaged, you know, it kind of gets a little messy, and so people bleed in instances like that. And so that's how it becomes a red ocean. And it's generally given the connotation to job markets, which are oversaturated and the competition is pretty stiff. So really the whole key takeaway of this, which I didn't leave a summary, let me update that. Alrighty, so here's the summary. I try to leave some takeaway points that are easy to digest, to take away from the review of the lecture, and that's going to be commercialized work and personal work are opposite, but works can lie in between. So obviously your works can bounce in between, like I mentioned about, you know, stuff that you draw for yourself, stuff that you draw for an employer, but those are generally going to be opposites to each other. Fundamentals and stylization both need to be considered to be a successful artist. That's just a given. And then stylization is good, but it's not really enough to just have a good style. It's important that fundamentals are grasped and they're understood and they're implemented strongly, so not only to show that you have a unique taste, but also that you can implement it in a way that is alluring to the public eye and to employers. And then updating the document, I felt like this lecture really didn't have solid fundamentals to walk away from, besides just being a really, really good insight to the industry seen through Mogoon's eyes and experience. So in terms of self-assigned homework, I don't really think it's valid to assign any, just because there wasn't much to work on. Maybe if anything, look a little bit into the fundamentals of art. I know a fair bit of the theory and format behind it, so I'm not really gonna dig too much into it personally. So if you're new to art, you don't really know too much about the fundamentals and principles, I'd highly suggest just doing some self-research, look a little bit, but I'm sure Mogoon will probably cover it in the upcoming lectures. So I hope this helped those who are interested in Mogoon's class. This is just going to act as pretty much the foundation of how he views the industry and really what is going to be sitting on the back burner of his courses as he works through them, which pretty clearly is working on fundamentals, which are a very, very important tool to being successful in the illustration industry. Remember that the course has much more to offer in terms of lectures and notes and much more stories, insights, and resources if you check out the actual course itself. Obviously, I can't list any of the downloadables, the insights and professional experience that Mogoon does. I'm just a guy reading off of a document that I took notes on. Of course, I will leave links to the course down below, as well as all of my socials if you'd like to support me. Please feel free to leave a like or subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and hopefully I will be seeing you in the next lecture. Hope it goes well. See you next time.